it's lovely to speak with you. I've been so excited to talk to you about the show and the storyline because it's been popping off online. Popping
It
off.
has, yeah.
How have these past few weeks been for you?
There have been different emotions. At first, it was really lovely, and then it got a bit overwhelming almost,
Mm.
right? Because I felt a lot of. It's just been a lot of emotions that have come with it, right? And I'm so happy that the response has been as positive as it has. And obviously, look, there are a few people that want to speak against it, and as you get with any storyline anyway. But yeah, it's almost been overwhelming. It's just been a lot to take in, but for the majority, it's been really lovely and really positive, and I've just been really proud of it.
I mean, I saw that you had to put out a statement kind of shutting down the anti-LGBTQ crowd. It's baffling, isn't it, that these people watch a show when it has had queer storylines throughout the whole series, and it comes from Ryan Murphy of all people. Like,
Right. Yeah, it's a very strange one. And I wondered if I should bother even saying something to them, because it's like, do I even want to give them the time of day? But I think the most important aspect was to actually put a message out for the other people, for the people that were supportive of the storyline, and just to make sure that they knew that I wasn't at all swayed away from it, and I'm proud to be telling this story. And the people that aren't on board with it, as I think I said in the post, listen, they can go watch something else.
You just got to focus on the people who actually appreciate the show and the storylines,
Well,
right?
yeah, and as you say, those storylines have always been present in the show, so it doesn't make sense to now suddenly be so anti it. And also the things that they come up with, like, he was always such a womanizer. I think being a womanizer, or being a young man and struggling to understand your feelings of attraction to the same sex, I'm sure quite a common cover up to that is probably spending some years as a womanizer and as a bit of a player, running away from those feelings. And then the other thing is, we're telling a story here of a bisexual man. So yeah, he was attracted to women, and he is attracted to women, and he will continue to be attracted to women. That's an integral part to his bisexuality.
Yeah, it's not as if just because he was a womanizer doesn't mean he can't like men too.
Yeah, exactly. And now that he likes men doesn't mean that he also isn't going to have any attraction to women, right? So he is attracted to more than one gender.
Oh, it's so stupid, Oliver. These people are just wild.
I do believe, or at least I hope, they seem to be dying out, but they do seem to be, they're less and less. I think we're becoming more and more open, and hopefully through representation in entertainment and media is part of what is hopefully moving that needle.
The Buddie stands, and that includes me. I will admit, Oliver, that includes me.
You can admit that.
We've been out in full force for years now. So did
Mm.
you ever anticipate, even before this season aired and you got the scripts and everything, that a queer storyline could happen for Buck? For our bisexual bicon Buck?
Bisexual bicon, I like that. Yeah.
Mhm.
So it was brought to me a couple of years ago as a possibility. And I had said yes, and then it was shut down from somewhere else above. So I had known that this was a possible storyline that we might one day be able to lean back into. And honestly, at the beginning of this season, because I see what everybody else sees. Like, I watch the same show. I don't think that the Buddie fans are wrong. So I decided this year that I wanted to kind of possibly lean into some kind of sexual awakening for Buck anyway. So when this storyline then was brought to me by Tim Minear, who writes the show, it was like, great, I was going to do that anyway. So good to know we're all on the same page.
And it's been handled so well. Like, everything has been quite refreshing to see. It hasn't conformed to any kind of tired queer tropes, such as Buck rejecting who he is, or, questioning his masculinity.
Sure.
So was that important to do from the start, to do it in a progressive way?
Absolutely. One of the first things that Tim said to me when he pitched me the story was, I don't want this to feel like the bravest episode of television. I want it to feel like a rom-com. And even the struggles that Buck did end up having in the following episode was less about like, oh, what does this mean for myself? And more like, I've always said that I was such an ally. And am I as much of an ally now that it's me? And I think that's quite an honest way to tell that story. But it's always done lighthearted. You know, he never was hard on himself about this. His biggest kind of internal conflict that he went through was the fact that he lied to Eddie about being on a date, but it wasn't about the fact that he was on a date. He was absolutely okay with that, and I think that's a really refreshing way to tell this story, because you know we want to tell a queer love story here, but we don't want to do it in this kind of traumatic, heavy way where the fact that it's a queer love story is the issue. It's going to have issues, but hopefully not surrounding the queerness.
Oh, that date, I was a mixture of kind of like smiling, and, oh God, no, don't say that. But then I was also like, you could tell he's coming from a good place. He doesn't mean any harm.
That's it. I think that's the thing with Buck that has been there for all 7 seasons, is he's always well-intentioned. He often says the wrong thing, but his heart is in the right place. And yeah, that was no different on his first date with Tommy.
I loved it. And then later on in the episode, Buck confided in Eddie about his romance with Tommy, which was a really heartfelt scene. And it was rightfully praised by viewers. What was it like to film that with Ryan?
Yeah, we always have a really lovely and open time in our scenes. And I know that, I do know that he's spoken about this publicly, so I'm okay to share it. That so he's had that conversation with a friend coming out to him before, and he said he kind of, you know, there's a moment where maybe taken aback, just because it's new, and then it's, but you're my friend, I love you, and I'll support you through anything. So I know that it's something that he had a very personal connection to, and you know, we just kind of wanted to dive into the openness and the supportiveness and the vulnerability of the whole thing, where, you know, at the beginning of the scene, Ryan's talking about his Eddie's talking about his own relationship drama, and it's kind of in the air for Buck, and it's just about finding the right moment to open up and drop what he thinks is going to be this bombshell, but in actual fact, you know, is not as much of an impact as he thinks it might cause.
What's it like to do this with Lou Ferrigno Jr.? What's it like to kind of share this big storyline with him?
It's really fun to see, because he's newer to the show. I mean, he's done a few episodes in the past seasons, but he's never, you know, been involved to this capacity. So it's fun to see his excitement to just how many eyes end up on it, right? And how widespread the reach of the show is. And it's fun to it's just going to sound so mean. It's almost like watching a baby discover the world for the first time, right? Just because it's like, wow, this is like a big show and people really care about these characters, and it's nice to see that with his fresh eyes. So you know, we're learning more about each other, and you know, we only met during episode 3, and in episode 4 we were kissing. So it was pretty immediate, and you know, there's still a lot of things that Buck and Tommy have to learn about each other, but also Oliver and Lou, and so you know, we're building those relationships.
How has he found the online response then? Because obviously there's a lot of people who are very happy about this romance, but then some of the Buddie stands, they want Buddie, right? So how is he dealing with that?
Yeah, I think, well, I think you have to learn to filter out the stuff you don't want to read and lean into the stuff you do. And, you know, whether that means you're reading things every day, or you set yourself you know, after an episode airs, I give myself a day to read stuff, and then you put it aside. I think he's doing well. You know, the Buddie fans has been, it's been difficult for some actresses on the show before. I know that they've felt sometimes unfairly treated. Whether or not it was unfair or not, I don't speak to that, but I know that it was something that they had difficulty with. But I think Lou's doing really well with it. You know, he's a really like fun, goofy person. So I think he's just going with the flow, and he's reading the good stuff, and he's having some, I've seen he's having some fun with fans on X, Twitter. I know. Anyway, so yeah, so I think he's embracing the whole thing and just having a good time with it.
I know you probably can't say much about Buddie and like what your hopes are for that pairing. But has the fandom's passionate response to Buck and Eddie ever impacted the way you've portrayed Buck?
I've tried not to let it,
Mm.
right? Because I think that's a dangerous road to go down, because then you start making choices in scenes for the wrong reasons because you're trying to please social media or whatever. I don't think that's the right way to go about your work as an actor, but it's impossible not to let it influence your work in some way, right? Because especially when you're reading all these things, and if you agree with some of them, then how do you not end up taking that on board? And I'll watch these fan edits of moments between us that we get tagged on Instagram, and there's a beautiful song playing in the background, and it's hard not to be taken in by that, but I do think it's important then, once we get to work, to try and push that aside and just play out the moments as authentically as we can. And there is a chemistry there that exists just naturally, so we don't have to try and lean into that or lean away from it. We just let it flow.
Time will tell.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. And if it does end up going there, it will be because the story naturally progressed in that way. It shouldn't be done just to please a specific subset of fans. Like it should be done because that's the right story to tell. And I think that's in fact the much more progressive and positive way to tell the story anyway.
And what can you tease about Buck's storyline and how it continues with the next batch of episodes? Because we're on a bit of a break now, right? And yet the last episode, it teased a bit of chaos.
A little bit.
What can you tease without, spoiling it and ruining your contract with the show?
The next episode is the Maddie and Chinley wedding, and it was one of the most fun episodes I've ever been able to shoot on the show. Feel like I got to relive a side of myself that I haven't since I was about 21 in London, drinking too much and waking up having forgotten the night before. So it was really fun to get to kind of dive back into that side. And so plenty of chaos and some more quote unquote coming out for Buck to other people in his life, but not in an obvious way, in a much more subtle way.
I mean, I have to ask you, and I'm aware this is a stereotype, but every queer man has his, pop diva. So who would Bucks be? Madonna, Beyonce, who's it going to be? Have you thought about it?
No, I haven't thought about it. That when Tim said to me, "So listen, we think that Buck's going to kiss a man," I didn't say, "All right, let me go work out who his pop diva is then." But maybe I should have. Maybe that's where I went wrong. I don't know. Who do you think it would be? Can you tell me?
Atomic Kitten? I don't know. Sugar Babes?
He's not going to know Atomic Kitten. I don't think they ever really found much success in America, so he wouldn't know Atomic Kitten.
No, I just thought I'd give
or Sugar Babes.
Or Sugar Babes. Girls Aloud? No, I just thought I'd give you a quintessentially British pop diva.
I appreciated it, but Buck would have no idea what you're talking about. But I liked it.
All right. Well, next time we talk, I want a list. I want his favorite pop diva, favorite queer film, favorite queer anthem.
Yeah.
I want it.
I'll have every answer, and I have reasons why, and I have timestamps for the scenes that won him over.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for chatting with me. It's been really fun, and I can't wait to see. Oh God, I hate that I've got a bloody wait.
Yeah, not too long. Couple of weeks. May 2nd. Couple of weeks.
May 2nd. All right. Okay.
You can do this.
I can do it. I'm really powerful.
We believe in you.
Yeah, that's Buddie stance.
Trust me, I know you're powerful.